Well, hello, everybody. I hope you are doing well this Friday as we head into the weekend. But something really bizarre is happening on the 19th of August, which is obviously Monday, and that is there's a blue moon. But it's kind of a special full moon because it incorporates two T-squares. What am I talking about? Well, first of all, let's discuss what on earth is a blue moon? We've all heard that saying, haven't we? People talk about it only happens once in a blue moon. It's like an infrequent thing. Well, technically, a blue moon is the third of 4 full moons in a season. Sometimes it's the second full moon in a month, which obviously could happen in August, being a long month, but that's not what it is. It's actually the third full moon of the season, and it's an Aquarius full moon as well. But what is more interesting about this, even than it being a blue moon, is that the full moon triggers Mercury, which is still retrograde in Leo, and it sets up this whole T-square because the full moon triggers Mercury, but it's also in square to Uranus, which is in Taurus. So that effectively gives us a fixed T-square in the sky. Let's park that for a second. We'll come back to that just now. But we also have, at the same time, a mutable T-square happening. So we have Venus, which is in Virgo, opposite Neptune. And this is squaring up to Mars and Jupiter, which are in Gemini. So this creates a really fruitful, yet also a problematic set of energies. So what do you need to know? Well, first of all, T-squares are extremely productive because they tend to aggravate us. They tend to create conflict and tensions, but this drives personal growth and often gives rise to progress. So during this new moon, I don't want you to feel at all disconcerted if you feel a bit edgy, if you're questioning things, particularly in your relationships, because obviously with Venus in Virgo opposite Neptune, there is a lot of self-doubt in love right now. Venus in Virgo is quite self-effacing, a little bit self-critical, opposite Neptune. There's all these worries and confusions in relationships. Added to that, Mercury, still retrograde in Leo, means we often can't decipher what the hell is going on. Now, I would like to just talk a little bit more about the T-square happening in the fixed signs that is connected to this full moon in Aquarius or the blue moon, whatever you want to call it. Now, it triggers Mercury retrograde in Leo. Now, we've all heard about these retrogrades, and generically speaking, Mercury retrograde is all about frustrations, confusions, problem in travel, difficulty in signing contracts, perhaps problems negotiating or cooperating in relationships. But in Mercury, it's a bit different because Mercury is in its fall in Leo. So in astrology, we say Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, but the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, meaning Mercury's in its fall. Basically, Mercury's not all that happy. It's a little bit grouchier when it's in Leo, and it can be harder to handle. So a Mercury retrograde in Leo represents some key issues, particularly when it comes to ego involvement and the way we attach ego with ideas. So what I want you all to be thinking about during this full moon is those ideas or concepts or notions we have in our head that are actually forming blockages. Now, because this T-square is in fixed signs, it's all about stubbornness. And Leo is about clinging to things, being pig-headed, being a little bit arrogant, thinking we've got all the answers. And this is what we have to guard against now. We don't have all the answers, and we don't have to. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to be wrong. In a way, it's a blessing because we're more open to ideas. Sometimes when we are too damn sure of ourselves, we make a mistake. So embrace a little bit of indecisiveness, embrace a little bit of self-doubt, and go seeking for more information. But more importantly, let's think about the ideas behind Mercury and Leo. Now, as I say, we all develop these myths, these persistent thoughts in our head that become somewhat comfortable. They might be reassuring, they might be a bit of a comfort zone, but the question to ask during this Mercury retrograde is, are they true? Or do I just fall back on these ideas, these thoughts, or these versions of the truth because they make me feel better. They are somewhat of a security blanket. Because it's important right now to realize that these myths we create about our relationships, our world, or even about ourselves are very stubborn because we are very resistant to changing them because they are habitual, and anything habitual is comfortable. So what you should be doing, particularly in this full moon, with Mercury retrograde in Leo squared to Uranus, which is, of course, the sign of enlightenment, change, higher levels of thought, is address your thought patterns, your beliefs, and ask yourself, do these serve my future growth? Are these helping me to get where I want in life? Maybe they're comfortable, yeah, but are they productive? Are they doing more damage than good? Because most of the time, we can project, and yes, it's true, there are things in the outside world that can get you down. The people and your boss, your boyfriend, your parents, the economy, the government, all these things can get you down. But generally speaking, a lot of what holds us back is the thoughts we have in our own head. And often they're the most, everyday thoughts, actually. They don't have to be something big. And now I want you to address those. Don't be scared to just throw out your own rule book. Don't be scared to ask yourself, what if? What if I'm wrong about such and such? What if I could do something better? What if all those things I heard in my past about me were wrong and I internalized those thoughts? So grab control of your thinking, your mentality, understand that certain thought patterns are persistent and need smashing out the way. And remember, T-squares have high potential because they're high energy. So whatever your problems are right now, whether they're problems in the real world, in your mind, or with your own negativity or your own approach, you can smash those out the way because the energy is really, really high. And the message of the full moon in Aquarius is you can do it. You can break those patterns. You can break the spell and cast a whole other spell over your life simply by asking questions of yourself, simply by understanding what those thoughts are. This is where those of you into meditation can get insights fairly quickly because you'll be watching your thoughts and processing them, and you perhaps will be in a good position to see those thoughts as a stream coming through, and then you can say, wow, I really don't like those thoughts. They're actually not really helpful. But even if you're not into meditation, which you don't have to be, it's still important to stop yourself in your own mind. Throw up the amber light and say, why am I thinking this? Could I just think about this whole situation differently? So sometimes during this Mercury retrograde, it's also good to take a step back. Remember, the message of the full moon, the blue moon in Aquarius, is be independent. Think independently and ask yourself, is this my thoughts, or have I just absorbed these thoughts because society says, or they say, or someone said that in the past? It's time now to understand what you think. Make up your mind what you think about your life and what you think about yourself. And once you do that, you become stronger and no one can put you in the corner. As they quoted in that film Dirty Dancing, which is like way back then, so a lot of you might not even remember it. Okay, those are my thoughts for today. Now, because this is a really important blue moon, I must emphasize the other T-square going on, and that's the mutable T-square, which I've kind of neglected, but I think I've given you enough to work on in this podcast.